Hi everybody, we're back. And as you can see, there's a change in the background. Now, I am in Fukushima, and as you can probably guess, we're gonna have a new format. We've been struggling with connectivity because different accommodations and setups make live streams difficult for us. So instead, now we're gonna have a pre-recording. In fact, this way we can deliver a full HD resolution. Now, we're still going to be doing the same content, which is going through the weekly news. And without further ado, let's jump into our first article. This article comes from one of our writers, Kawashiguta-san, about the northern territories north of Hokkaido. Some of you may know that there is a dispute between Japan and Russia over the control of the four islands, and this article gives us a brief overview of it. When grassroots exchanges were building peace on northern territories. In the wake of the invasion of Ukraine, and the current bargaining with Russia over gas and rare metals in many European countries, there is renewed interest in Japan, which has also had territorial disputes with Russia for years. Due to the invasion of Ukraine, there is tense bargaining between some European countries and Russia over gas and rare metals. What is the Northern Territories issue? The four islands located in the north part of Japan, called the Northern Territories, were developed by Japanese people at the end of the 18th century and have never been part of any foreign territories since then. However, the Soviet military invasion in 1945 forced 17,291 Japanese to displace from the island, and the island has continuously been ruled by Russia without legal basis. Efforts to return the Northern Territories. In 1992, Japanese citizens were allowed to visit the Northern Territories without a passport or visa, and since then the exchange has begun with Russians living on the four islands. In Nemuro City, located across the sea from the Northern Territories, a voluntary association of citizens, the Visa-Free Supporters Dandelion, has been carrying out exchanges with four islands for many years. They mainly take Russians who enter and leave Nemuro port on visa-free exchanges, delegate Japanese visiting the four islands, and organize exchange meetings with Russians living on the four islands. Through cultural exchanges and homestays in each other's homes, people who have been in contact with the Russians for many years, as one person strongly realized the importance of mutual understanding and trust in resolving territorial issues. Even though they couldn't hold actual visits due to the COVID situation in 2021, online exchanges still continued. The relationships we have built are our only hope. However, due to the invasion of Ukraine, visa-free exchanges were suspended by Russia in March. Those who have participated in the exchange so far are very anxious that the lack of prospects for the resumption of visa-free exchanges will bring the issue back to square one. On the other hand, it is also true that there are Russians who, in their personal relationships, have cleaned Japanese graves during the COVID time, and who have sent the message that war is bad in any form, even in the face of information control by the government. These facts testify to the significance of the grassroots exchanges that have taken place so far. War is a big story on a national scale, but it is still a conflict between people at its root. The key to solving the Northern Territories issue is probably not to fear those who do not understand, but never to give up trying to understand them. This next article by our writer Kamimoto-san explores the effects of the lack of sex education and the need for more awareness about sexual consent in Japan. NPO to spread awareness of sexual consent among Japan's youths. Having a proper understanding of sexual consent is essential to protect ourselves and avoid hurting someone. Each country regulates the age of consent. Japan's age of consent at 13 is very low by global standards. There is also a general lack of sex education. As a result, many, especially young people, are unable to recognize when they have been sexually assaulted due to a lack of knowledge. In response, some organizations are striving to spread awareness of sexual consent. 1 in 24 people have experienced forced sexual intercourse. In Japan, sex education is inadequate because talking openly about sex is often considered taboo. Many people, therefore, have uninformed perceptions about sexual consent. For example, when people are in a romantic relationship or when an individual comes to stay over at a house, many people consider these situations as consent to engage in sexual activities. Very few people are aware of the need to consent each time, regardless of their relationship. According to a survey, about 1 in 24 people and about 1 in 14 women have experienced forced sexual intercourse. Of this, about 60% haven't talked to anyone about their victimization. Sexual harassment also occurs frequently in public places. Women in particular are often the victims. Another survey by We2 Japan shows that about 40% of women in their 20s and 50% of women in their 30s have experienced public sexual harassment. Mimosas strives to improve sex education with practical handbook about sexual consent. The non-profit organization Mimosas works to bring information about sexual consent to the younger generation on social media and their website. Mimosas provides practical information on what sexual violence is and what to do if one is the victim of or witnesses sexual harassment. Recently, Mimosas has created a handbook with such information. Under the supervision of experts, the handbook explains sexual consent and sexual victimization in an easy-to-understand manner and includes a consultation list in case you are victimized. The crowdfunding campaign to create this handbook raised approximately 2.5 million yen. Mimosas plans to distribute more than 6,000 handbooks to more than 17 schools and organizations. Educating young people about my body, my choice. Practical sex education, including sexual consent and the age of consent, is essential to create a safe society for everyone. This handbook is beneficial for those worried about sex education for their children. We hope that valuable information such as the handbook will gradually spread in Japan and help normalize and promote sex education. In case you didn't know, it's Fair Trade Month. Fair trade, as some of you may know, is a movement that aspires to create better prices and working conditions for producers worldwide. This article by our writer Imagawa-san shares what you can do this month for fair trade, especially if you're in Japan right now. Actions we can take in Japan right now to promote fair trade. When we choose products, we are unknowingly weaving the stories of the other side of the world: climate change, child labor, poverty, deforestation. What can we do? What we want to do is make purchases that create a positive difference in the world. The second Saturday in May is called World Fair Trade Day, and events related to fair trade are held worldwide. In line with this, May is also called Fair Trade Month in Japan. Let's look at the action we can take. Participate in Million Action Campaign. The Million Action Campaign 2022 aims to achieve a total of 1.5 million actions that anyone can participate in, such as purchasing products, posting on social media, and participating in events related to fair trade throughout Japan. This is an opportunity for many people to enjoy and learn about fair trade. Shops, restaurants, companies, schools, and local governments from all over Japan also participate in this event, offering various exciting opportunities to support Japan's fair trade industry. For example, here are some ways to get involved during the event. Buy a product, eat at a store, enter for prizes, join an event. Post your action on social media. Participate in one comment, one action. Now, one comment, one action. Ask participants to send supportive messages to companies that deal in fair trade products or to write their wishes and requests regarding their fair trade. This action takes only 1 minute to complete. You can choose your action from the campaign website. Quality and stylish fair trade products promote sustainable shopping. In most cases, people buy charity products because they feel sorry for people in developing countries, and this rarely leads to subsequent purchases. In contrast, fair trade products are characterized by high-quality designs that buyers honestly want. Next month, Shinsei Corporation will launch chocolate meats using cacao purchased through Craft Chocolate Fair Trade, with a portion of the proceeds benefiting the artists. The unique packaging depicted by the artists makes you want to pick up the product. As a result, your purchase supports both the activities of artists and fair trade chocolate. Donations and the purchase of charity items are certainly great, but can be difficult to sustain. Instead, it is more sustainable to simply seek out fair trade products in your daily shopping. Fair trade represents a significant first step toward a sustainable future, and the impact grows bigger as more people get involved. Most of us will be familiar with how big a negative impact plastics have on our ocean biodiversity. Our writer Kawashiguta-san reminds us of what's at stake and what Japan needs to do to reduce plastic. Marine plastics are already changing marine biodiversity. It is said that 30 million tons of plastic waste are currently floating in the oceans, and alarms have been sounding off about the impact on ecosystems. Last December, the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center reported that plastic accumulates with coastal organisms in the open ocean, forming a new neopelagic living area. Plastics expand the habitat of coastal organisms. There are at least 5 plastic-contaminated gyres, called garbage patches, in the world, particularly in the area where the most plastic is floating in the North Pacific subtropical gyre between California and Hawaii. It is estimated that 79,000 tons of plastic are floating in an area of over 610,000 square miles. It was discovered that many coastal organisms survive and thrive on marine plastics, including anemones, hydrozoans, and amphipods, such as shrimp from plastics collected from the North Pacific subtropical gyre by Ocean Voyages Institute founder Mary Crowley and her team. The following is a summary of the results. The fact that communities of coastal organisms that were thought to have difficulty surviving in the open ocean were found to be forming, and that plastics provided habitat was a major discovery. Expected ecosystem disturbances as coastal habitats expand. However, the spread of coastal habitats is expected to cause disturbance of open ocean ecosystems and threats from non-native species. Fortunately, no new species are known to have colonized the west coast directly, but from the tsunami that hit Japan on March 11, 2011, it was reported about 300 species of coastal organisms drifted on the coast of Hawaii and the west coast of the USA from Japan, attached to tsunami debris ranging from small pieces of plastic to fishing boats and docks. Scientists estimate that the cumulative amount of plastic waste in the world will overshoot 25 billion tons by 2050, and the garbage patch is likely to expand further with this. We also expect more plastic to be pushed out to the sea as climate change brings more intense and more frequent storms. Japan needs to be involved in global plastic reduction. As a country facing the Pacific Ocean, Japan should respond to the problem pointed out by this report through waste management and, more importantly, plastic reduction. According to an OECD survey, plastics account for 3.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions and need to be reduced not only from a marine litter perspective, but also from a climate change one. Currently, more than 120 countries have banned or taxed the use of single-use plastics, mostly limited to plastic bags, which accounts for only 0.3% of plastic waste washed ashore in Japan's case. Japan enforced the Act on Promotion of Resource Recycling for Plastics earlier last month on April 1st. Businesses such as convenience stores, restaurants, accommodation facilities, and dry cleaners are obliged to reduce waste emissions of products using specific plastics such as forks, spoons, knives, and straws. With this law as a catalyst, Japan must now actively face the problem of reducing plastic. In addition, Japan needs to support low and middle income countries in order to reduce plastic production or increase recycling rates globally. In addition to developing environmentally friendly alternatives, and international development assistance is needed to improve waste management infrastructure in low and middle income countries. And that's the end of our session for today. Let's hope this new format works, but definitely we'll try to keep improving and find something that really works for our unique case of so-called live streaming. See you next time, and have a good recharge this weekend.